Hello, troop. So, just out in the garden today because we can, because in the UK we only get like a week or so of this weather, and I'm making the most of it. Just answering some really common questions, things that I see a lot today. One of the most common ones is simply how do you make money streaming your music? Are the streaming services worth it? I'm just going to sort of share some thoughts, ideas, and processes that we can do for that. So the very first thing that you need to know, if you want to be on the streaming services, so Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Google Play, etc., you need an aggregator of some kind. That's like a middleman that takes your music, make sure you've done everything correctly, and then they have the network and authority to distribute to those platforms. And those platforms often then check things out as well. So, for example, I use the guys DistroKid. Um, I personally recommend them. They've served me really, really well. They help me distribute as multiple different artists and for some of the other guys that I work with and partner with. So on their account, I've got, I think, 7 or 8 different artists that I post with, and I can see all the metrics and check individual shares and things like that. Really useful. There's free ways to do it as well. So there's amuse.io, and then there's a whole bunch of other distributors to check out. I'll link the video I did for Amuse. So while it's free, there's sort of some causality things in there that aren't great. DistroKid, you don't have to worry about any of that, but you do have to pay yearly. It's not much; it's about $20 a year. But weigh up those odds and see how you want to do that. Now, the reason you sort of have to do this to get on all of the platforms at the minute, let's say for iTunes, for example, you have to hit a really certain thing for, say, the artwork. Like, it's got to be at least 1400 by 1400. The artwork can't be like a stock image. It can't feature certain text, and all of that has to get checked over. And iTunes don't want to take the responsibility, basically, so you end up going through an aggregator. And also, by going through an aggregator, it goes out to everywhere at once. That's really useful. And the guys at Spotify now have made it so anyone can upload. But some of those things still get knocked back, except they're less inclined to go, this is why we've not allowed you to distribute that, and it's because it was a stock image or something like that. Your aggregator will tell you what's gone on, why, what needs to change, and how to fix it and get you distributed to those platforms. Now, if you just wanted to be on Spotify, you can set up with Spotify, set up a premium account, apply for an artist profile, and then you can submit directly, which is a really good option. It leaves a lot on the table. What I'll do in the video now, I'll put just next to me here the monthly per store that I've made on music. So at the minute, I think Spotify for me is on the decline. I spoke about that in my course, the 21 ways to monetize your music. The reason I believe it's on a decline is I've got lots of fans based in the Netherlands, and there's something that's gone on with a promo for Deezer, and I've seen a lot of those guys switch. So Deezer for me is actually climbing now, which is really interesting. Digressing ever so slightly, but it's useful to be able to see all those individual metrics. And if I was just on Spotify at the minute, I would just be in a decline, whereas I've just basically had a trade-off at the minute, and Deezer actually pay out a tiny fraction more than Spotify. So that's worked out really well. So this is what you got to do. You got to have an aggregator, got to have good music, got to make sure you adhere to all of the platforms things. And then once you submit some music via a distributor and it goes out and it's on the streaming sites, this is the tricky bit. You've got to get people there, and they've got to listen to your music. So here, that's where you've got to think, what value are you providing for that listener? It's great, you've made this great piece of music, but it's got to be valuable to someone in some way for them to listen to it. Now, entertainment, that's absolutely a value. But here's where you've got to look at marketing, and that your value is going to be entertainment and they're going to enjoy the piece of music. Why should they pay that little bit of attention to you? And that's where you've got to look at selling, and you're effectively selling something like music to people for listening on a platform. Now, the sell becomes easy with something like Spotify. If you can aim people at Spotify first and you can get that working, everything else is going to be all right. Reason being, Spotify has that free system, right? if you get someone to listen on Spotify and they sign up, they can listen to it for free. There's sort of no paywall in the way. Almost all the other platforms have a paywall. There might be a free trial and things like that, but there's some like a wall in the way that might stop them. However, once you've figured that out and you've got a bit of an audience and you've got some traction, you can get people onto their platform, and that's something that's really, really clever for you to do. When you start advertising and promoting and marketing, you need to find where your listeners are, or who they're listening to and how they're using their service, and then look at where you're going to market. So at the minute, if I was to push my music in the Netherlands, let's say I use Facebook ads, I would get myself on Facebook Insights. I would be looking for people in the Netherlands, not necessarily on Spotify. I'd probably look for the guys who they follow the Deezer platform on Facebook, and then they listen to drum and bass, and then I'd push them exactly what I'm doing, and I'd maybe even just link like a video, something like that. They can listen to this, they can get an idea of it for free. Deezer links straight below, because I know that they're going to be using Deezer. They like this kind of music. If they enjoyed the video for a few seconds, they're probably going to hit that Deezer link, add me on there. And that right there, that's how you start making money with streaming. So 1, have good music. 2, get yourself some kind of aggregator distributor, whether you go free, whether you pay. I recommend you pay a service like DistroKid. Don't have to use them, like, not sponsoring this video, but they are the best service out there right now. I personally recommend them. You can do it free. It's just not the best way to go currently. There's just too many other obstacles in the way, especially like the Spotify thing, and you're linked to just that platform. Get your distribution out there. So once you've done that, you need to know who your audience are, where they're listening, and what services they're using. Then you've got to look at how you're going to market and get them to listen. So what's the value to them? Are they going to enjoy the piece of music? Is it something they already know about? Is it on a service they already use? Make use of tools like Facebook Insights and really research and niche down exactly who they're going to be and push it to those right people. You can't just put a track on Spotify and expect people to find it via search. If someone searches new drum and bass tracks, there's going to be probably another 5,000 before mine. There's many artists who are much bigger than me. You've got to actually get them to it, get them following you. Then when you release new music, they get a notification because they've listened to you before. Equally, you can't just put a track up on SoundCloud and have your download link linked to something like Spotify or Deezer or whatever. It's not going to be enough. You need to get it in front of people. You need to give them some kind of value that it's worth them listening and spending a bit of time. And then you've got to take all other barriers away. It needs to be the platform that they're listening to is available to them at that moment, or they will forget you. And that, guys, is how you make some money while streaming your music. I hope that's been helpful for you, Troop, and I will catch you guys on the next video.